A very beautiful morning. Birds are sitting on a tree and feeding their babies. With the start of the new year, families get holidays so they can visit their parents or cousins. A woman inside an apartment is showing a video of a baby to her husband, which seems to be very adorable. The lady says to her husband, "Did you see how he said mama and crawls towards his mummy? He is a very smart kid." Both of them gets happy after watching the video and keep praising the child while on the other hand, a lady was cooking for them. The girl's name is Jia Han, and she is a 32-year-old unemployed woman living with her parents. The woman with the phone comes to Jia and shows her the video and says, "Look how cute my grandson is." Jia tells her mother in a sarcastic tone, "Mom, you have seen this video almost 100 times, and I also know what the kid is going to say or do next in this video." Jia's mother replies to her that I love my grandson so much that even if I keep looking at him the whole day, I will not get bored. While Jia and her mother are talking, her father takes advantage of this situation and eats some of the food that she was cooking. Seeing this, Jia gets angry and says that if you people cannot help me, then at least don't trouble me. Her father asks her why is she getting so angry. The food which is being prepared is for eating. Hearing this, Jia stops and says, "We are 3 people. Why should I do all the work here? Why don't you guys do something?" Jia's mother tells Jia that, "First of all, you are living in our house. We did not ask you for this, and be thankful that we are not taking rent from you. If you feel bad, then find a boy for yourself and marry him. There is no need to live with us." Jia's father also agrees with her mother and says, "Your mother is right. If you hate us so much, then find a boy for yourself." Saying this, Jia's father kisses her mother while she says, "Honey, please don't do this in front of her." Meanwhile, the doorbell rings, and as soon as Jia opens the door, a child comes running and hugs Jia's mother. The child who hugged Jia's mother is her younger sister's daughter, who had come to meet them with her husband. Parents ask them about their journey and welcome them. Jia's sister replies that her legs are hurting, so her husband, who was holding a baby, says, "Don't worry, babe. I will give you a massage." Jia interrupts them and says, "Little sister, it is nice to meet you after a long time." She gives her apron to her and says, "I prepared this flower apron just for you. Isn't it nice?" Jimin responds, "I'm also happy to see you too, my sister. But this apron looks great on you as always. Now all you have to do is get married this year." Jia smiles and tells Jimin again that, "Please, sister, wear this. I am asking you nicely. Otherwise, I will show my other side too, which won't be good for you." Suddenly, mother punched Jia hard on the face and said, "Just shut up." Jia angrily shouts at her mother and says, "Mom, why are you hitting me? I have spent my whole day cooking. Isn't it fair to change our shifts now? You are taking Yimin's side just because you met her after a very long time?" Yimin's husband Jinu jumps into their conversation and says, "Why are you bothering her? She is tired and pregnant with her 3rd child." Jia's father says this is a very happy occasion. We should celebrate and then order Jia to set the dining table. Seeing her family's behavior towards her, Jia comes out of the house and sits in the park and starts smoking in anger and thinks how rude her parents are. When she was sitting in the park and smoking, a guy eating packed chicken came to her and said, "You have not changed at all." Jia turns to the man and stares at him as she finds him very unusual because he was eating in the smoking zone. She asks him about his name because she didn't recognize him. The guy replies, "I'm Minchil Jin. I live next door, you childhood friend. I usually used to wear headphones, that's why you didn't recognize me." Jia thinks for some time. She tries to recognize him, and after a while, she finally remembers him. She tells him, "You are Jin, the gamer boy from our school." Jin asks, "Have I changed so much that it took you so long to remember me?" Jia replies, "Yes, I am having some difficulty in recognizing you because you have changed a lot. And you tell me who eats in the smoking area?" Jin answers, "There is no such rule that we cannot eat in the smoking area. And anyway, I am tired of eating home-cooked food." Jia starts thinking after hearing Jin, what kind of a boy is he? Jin was very shy in his early days, and because they lived in the same building, so they were childhood friends, but not by choice. So even calling him a friend is a scratch too. There is a boy in every class who does not make friends with anyone. Jin was that boy. He never talked to anyone, even those who lived in his building or around his house. After thinking for a while, Jia recognizes him completely. Now she again starts thinking that she is the black sheep in her whole family because she is 32 years old, unemployed, and unmarried woman. On the other hand, She was wondering how much the life of a bastard like Jin had changed. Maybe this is what city life is like, which is why a boy like Jin becomes a human being. Minchul Jin has become an assistant manager in a well-known software company at the age of 32 and looks decent. Overall, he was living a good life. On the other hand, there is Jia Han, who lives with her parents and sometimes gets scolded for even breathing at home, but she does not consider anyone as important as herself. She is a very lazy and arrogant girl who has no aim in life except getting married. Both are completely different from each other. Jia thinks that this can't be possible. How did a rude boy from her school become more successful than her? It would be better for her to bite his tongue and die. Then suddenly Jin asks Jia, "By the way, how is your life going?" Jia looks at him with nervous eyes and Jin asks her again, "Why are you scared? I just asked you how your life is going." Jia replies with a fake smile, "Nothing special. Tell me, what are you doing these days?" And then she slowly says to herself, "Can't he understand by looking at my condition how my life is going?" Jin replied casually that nothing special, I just work all day long, and if I get time then I play games on my gaming console, sleep and take bath. This is my daily routine, Jia said to him. Your life is going pretty well. Jin scratches his head and says, I think so too, but my parents think differently. For the past few years my parents have been pressuring me to get married. They says that this is the right time for me to get married. But marriage is not something I can do alone. You need another person for it too. And for this, they want me to register myself on some matrimonial service website. The registration fee for these kind of websites is $5,000. You know how many games I can buy with this amount of money. Hearing this, Jia says, your family is after you like crazy for marriage. Jin tells Jia that I think your family is not after you for marriage yet. Jia lies and says, yes, my condition is not as bad as yours. On the other hand, she keeps thinking how badly her family is after her for marriage. Jia thinks for a while, and then laughingly tells Jin that since we both are screwed, we should marry each other. This could be a good option for both of us. Looking at Jin, she further says that since our lives have been ruined due to not getting married is the only option for both of us to get our lives back on track. Jin looked at Jia in surprise because, apart from the fact that they studied together in the same school, they were complete strangers to each other. Seeing Jin's expressions, Jia understands that he is confused by her words, so she tells him to listen to her first and then think about it. She further says, look, you are single, I am also single. If we both get married, then it will be a win-win situation for both of us. Hearing this, Jin becomes even more tense. Seeing this, Jia laughs falsely and says, don't be serious, I was just joking. This much is acceptable between friends. That was just a joke between friends. Jin leaves the conversation without giving Jia any reply. He then asks Jia's father for permission to marry his daughter. Her father happily gives his permission for them to marry. After getting permission from their families, they marry each other. Both of them go abroad to celebrate their honeymoon. The married couple enjoyed on the beach with friends, and then they return back to the hotel. After taking a shower, Jin comes out of the toilet in a bathrobe, scratches his head, and says that getting married is a great thing. Who knows, life can suddenly change like this. And then he asks Jia if she was not going to take a bath. Jia replies, first she will finish her drink and then she will bath. She finishes her drink, takes a bath, and comes out in her bathrobe. Both of them sit on their respective beds. They spend their whole day exploring new places, and now comes their first night of marriage. Jia is sitting on the bed with her passport in her hand, thinking that finally she is married. Then suddenly she starts having hallucinations. She feels that all this is not true because she is in another country with a stranger, so she pinches herself to see if this is true or not. When she pinched herself and felt the pain, she realized that it was true that she was now a married woman. But it all still felt very strange to her because everything happened so quickly. Jia turns and looks at Jin, who is struggling to take off his clothes, and questions herself if she married this guy. Then suddenly Jia's eyes fall on Jin's ripped body, and she gets very impressed by it. She slaps herself to snap out of it, since she was getting distracted by looking at his body. Jia sits with her back towards Jin, so that he cannot see her expressions. But still Jin feels something is not right with her. So he asks her, are you okay? Jia answers, yes, I am fine. Just feeling a little sleepy. Jin replies, if you are feeling sleepy, then go to sleep. Gia then turns to Jin, who is looking for something in his bag, so she asks him, "What are you trying to do?" Jin replies, "I'm looking for something that will make our first night better, but I can't find it." Strange, isn't it? Gia blushes and asks, "What have you packed? Is there anything special?" Then suddenly she remembers that he is talking about making the first night special. She says to herself, "What is that bastard looking for?" Gia starts having wrong thoughts about whether he will do something wrong to her and gets scared. She suddenly shouts, "Don't come close to me. I am not ready yet. I need some time." Jin looks at Gia in surprise and says, "Ready for what? I have just want to offer you earplugs." He further says, "I don't usually snore, but sometimes when I get very tired, I start snoring." And then he gives the earplugs he was holding in his hand to Gia. She looks at plugs in surprise because she was thinking about something else. While Jin lies down on his bed and says, "I'm sleepy," and bids her good night and goes to sleep under the blanket. Within a few seconds, Jin starts snoring loudly and falls asleep. Gia looks at him. What was I thinking about him? Later, she also goes to sleep after putting in the earplugs. Thanks for watching and comment the best part of this video.